The diplomatic station floated in the darkness between two empires. Inside its grand hall, Princess Taylin stood in her ceremonial robes, trying not to shake. She had never seen a human before today. Her people, the Zalveth, had been enemies of humanity for 30 years. Now, she would marry one to bring peace. The human walked toward her through the crowd. Captain Jiwoo wore a simple black uniform with silver medals on his chest. He was shorter than she expected. His skin pale compared to her scales, but his eyes were dark and deep, like looking into quiet water. When he bowed to her, it was with perfect respect. "Princess Taylin," he said in her language, though his accent was rough. "I am honored." She had practiced human words for weeks. "Captain Jiwoo, thank you for this sacrifice." "Jiwoo." He smiled, but it did not reach his eyes. "We both sacrifice for peace." The ceremony was long. Representatives from both sides watched with careful faces. Her father, Emperor Kalrose, sat rigid on his throne. The human admiral, Hyun-ki, stood like a statue. Everyone knew this marriage was a gamble. If it failed, war would come again. When the ceremony ended, they were husband and wife. Taylin felt strange, calling this warrior from Earth her husband. They barely knew each other. They had only exchanged letters before today. Their new home was a ship called Harmony's Promise. It was built by both humans and Exilveth working together, a symbol of their united future. The corridors were too cold for Taylin and too warm for Jiwoo, so they compromised. Everything between them would be compromise. The first night, Jiwoo set up his belongings in their shared quarters. Taylin watched him place a small wooden box on the shelf. "What is that?" she asked. "A shrine to my ancestors," he explained. "We humans remember those who came before us." "We do this too," she said, surprised. "I did not know humans honored the dead. We honor many things." He looked at her carefully. "I know you did not choose this marriage, princess. But I will try to be a good husband." "I will neither be a good husband." She felt something soften in her chest. "Please, call me Taylin, and I will try also." The days turned to weeks. They traveled between human and Zalveth worlds, showing themselves to the people. Everywhere they went, citizens stared. Some looked hopeful. Others looked angry. Change was hard for everyone. Jiwoo was patient with her. He taught her about Earth, about its blue oceans and green forests. He explained human food, which tasted strange to her tongue. He showed her human music, which moved in ways Zalveth songs did not. She taught him about her people's long history. The Xalveth Empire had stood for 1,000 years. They valued wisdom and patience. They believed in the harmony of all living things. "Your people sound peaceful," Jiwoo said one evening, as they studied together. "We are, usually," Taylin hesitated. "The war with humans was hard for us. We do not like violence." Jiwoo was quiet for a moment. "Neither do I." She looked at the medals on his dress uniform, hanging in their closet. "But you are a soldier. You have fought many battles." "Yes." His voice was flat. "I have." He did not say more, and she did not ask. Some doors would open slowly. One night, Taylin could not sleep. She wandered the ship's corridors and found Jiwoo in the training room. He wore simple clothes and moved through combat forms alone. His movements were smooth and precise, like a dance, but there was something dangerous in it. Something that made her scales prickle. He noticed her watching and stopped immediately. "I am sorry if I woke you." "No, number better one. You did not. I could not sleep." She stepped closer. "What were you doing?" "Training. Old habits." He picked up a towel. "A soldier's body must stay ready. But you are not a soldier anymore. You are a diplomat now." Something flickered in his eyes. "Yes, you are right." But he did not sound like he believed it. Ambassador Sung Ho visited them often. The old human diplomat was proud of the marriage alliance. He called it his greatest achievement. "You two are the future," he would say. "Peace between our people depends on you." Maybe 4. How did he video? The pressure was heavy. Taylin felt it every day. Her friend Hei-Wan sent messages from home. "Are you happy?" she asked. "Does the human treat you well?" Taylin was not sure how to answer. Ji-woo treated her with respect and kindness. He was intelligent and thoughtful. But there was a wall between them. Something he kept locked away. "I think he is a good man," she finally replied. "But he is also a mystery." 3 months into their marriage, something changed. They attended a state dinner with Zalveth nobles. He made a joke about Taylin marrying a soft human to save the empire. The room went silent. Ji-woo stood slowly. He did not raise his voice. He simply looked at General Yule with those dark, quiet eyes. "You will apologize to my wife." The general laughed. "What will you do, human? We are at peace now. You cannot fight anymore. Apologize." Ji-woo repeated. Something in his tone made General Yule stop laughing. The drunk noble looked into Ji-woo's eyes and went pale. He mumbled an apology and left quickly. Later, Taylin asked, "What did he see in your eyes?" Ji-woo looked away. "I do not know," but she thought she knew. General Yule had seen the warrior underneath the diplomat's mask. He had seen something that frightened him. That night, Taylin realized her husband was not just a soldier. He was something more. Something dangerous that had been caged by peace. She wondered what would happen if that cage ever broke. 6 months had passed since the wedding. Taylin no longer felt like a stranger in her own marriage. She and Ji-woo had found a rhythm together. A comfortable partnership built on respect and growing affection. They sat together most evenings, reading or talking about their days. Ji-woo had a dry sense of humor that made her laugh. She taught him the complex poetry of her people, and he actually enjoyed it. He was nothing like the brutal warriors she had imagined humans to be. His sister Da-eun visited them on the ship. She was an engineer, tall and cheerful, with her brother's same dark eyes. "You are good for him," Da-eun told Taylin privately. "I have not seen him this peaceful in years." "He does not talk about his past," Taylin admitted. Da-eun's smile faded. "No, he would not. Ji-woo saw terrible things in the war. He did terrible things too, because he had to. But it changed him. What kind of soldier was he? The kind they send when nothing else works." Da-eun looked out the window at the stars. "The kind who always comes back, no matter the odds." They called him the Ghost, because he could slip behind enemy lines and complete impossible missions. But that is all past now. He chose peace. He chose you. Taylin felt a warmth in her chest. He had chosen this life with her, given up his military career. That meant something. One evening, Ji-woo asked about her childhood. She told him about growing up in the imperial palace, about her tutors and her strict education. "I always knew I would serve the empire," she said. "But I thought it would be as a scholar or advisor, not as a bride." "Do you regret it?" he asked quietly. She considered the question honestly. "At first, yes, I was angry. But now..." She looked at him. "Now I think perhaps this was meant to be." He reached across the table and took her hand. His skin was warm against her scales. "I am glad," he said simply. That touch felt like more than words could say. But peace was fragile. Reports came in from the border territories. Pirate attacks were increasing. Ships disappeared. Colonies sent distress signals. Something was moving in the darkness, beyond both empires. Admiral Hyun-ki contacted Ji-woo on a secure channel. "We are seeing unusual activity in the Outer Rim. The Vorathi clans are mobilizing." "The Vorathi have never been a major threat," Ji-woo said. "They are now. They have new ships, new weapons. Someone is backing them." Hyun-ki looked grim. Both our governments are concerned. After the call, Ji-woo was quiet for hours. Taylin found him staring out at space. "What troubles you?" she asked. "I have a bad feeling," he said. "The Vorathi are raiders and scavengers. If they are organizing, building a real fleet, then someone big is behind them. Both our empires are strong. Surely we can handle pirates." He looked at her with those dark eyes. "We are strong separately. Together, we would be unstoppable. But the alliance is new. Our militaries are not used to working together. If someone wanted to test us, now would be the time." She felt cold despite the warm air. "You think they will attack? I think someone sees an opportunity." He turned back to the window. "I hope I am wrong." Ambassador Sung-ho came to dinner that week. He was excited about a new joint colony being established. "New Inchan," he announced proudly. "Half human, half Zalveth, living together. It is beautiful. It is also vulnerable," Ji-woo said quietly. Sung-ho waved his hand. "You worry too much, my boy. We have peace now. The Vorathi are just criminals. Nothing more." But Taylin saw Ji-woo's jaw tighten. He did not argue. But he did not agree either. That night, she woke to find him gone from their bed. She found him in the training room again, moving through combat forms. But this time, he had weapons. Practice blades flashed in his hands as he moved, faster than she had seen before. She watched from the doorway. There was a beauty to how he moved, like deadly art. Each strike was perfect. Each movement flowed into the next. This was not just training, this was muscle memory, the body remembering what it was built to do. When he finished, he was breathing hard. He noticed her and stopped, looking almost guilty. "I did not mean to wake you. You are preparing for something," she said. He set down the weapons. "I do not think peace will last." "Why?" "Because I know how enemies think. Our alliance makes us stronger, yes. But right now, we are also confused. Our military command is split. Our response times are slow. We are figuring out how to work together. An intelligent enemy would strike now, before we become truly united." Taylin felt fear creep up her spine. "You sound very certain. I have planned attacks before. I know what I would do." He looked at his hands. "I hoped I would never need to think this way again." She went to him and took his hands in hers. "If war comes, we will face it together." He pulled her close. "I pray it does not. I have killed enough for one lifetime." But 3 days later, the alarms woke them in the middle of the night. The ship's commander contacted them immediately. "We have received a distress signal. New Inchan is under attack." Ji-woo was out of bed instantly, pulling on his uniform. Taylin had never seen him move so fast. His entire manner changed. The gentle husband disappeared, replaced by something harder and sharper. "How many hostiles?" he asked. "Unknown." The transmission was cut off. "We are the closest ship. We can be there in 6 hours. Go to maximum speed. Send word to both human and Zalveth fleets." Ji-woo's voice was pure command. "And get me a weapon." The commander hesitated. "Sir, you are a diplomat now. Do it." The tone allowed no argument. Taylin dressed quickly. Her hands shook as she sealed her robes. Ji-woo checked a pistol with practiced ease, sliding it into a holster. He picked up a combat knife and tested its edge. He looked at her, and his expression softened slightly. "Stay on the ship when we arrive. It may be dangerous. I am going with you, Taylin. I am a princess of the Zalveth Empire. If our people are in danger, I will help them." He studied her for a moment, then nodded. "Stay close to me. Do exactly what I say." "I will." As Harmony's promise accelerated toward New Incheon, Taylin watched her husband prepare. He checked equipment, reviewed tactical data, and spoke with the ship's security team. This was not the man she had breakfast with yesterday. This was someone else entirely, and she realized, with both fear and strange excitement, that she was about to see who her husband really was. The colony of New Inchan was burning when they arrived. From orbit, Taylin could see fires spreading across the settlement. Smoke rose into the atmosphere, like dark fingers reaching for the sky. The Vorathi ships were still there, circling like predators over wounded prey. 3 cruisers and multiple fighters, the tactical officer reported. They are attacking civilian areas. Our scans show thousands of life signs, but many are not moving. Dead, Taylin realized. They meant dead. Jiwoo stood at the command center, studying the displays. His face was calm, but his eyes were hard. The cruisers are too much for us alone. When do reinforcements arrive? 1. Human fleet in 4 hours. Zalaveth fleet in 5. Nunderdissers. Minder fleet. Zalaveth fleet. Too long. Jiwoo pointed at the screen. There is a landing zone here, 2 kilometers from the main settlement. It is outside their patrol pattern. We can get shuttles down. Sir, we are a diplomatic vessel. We have minimal security forces. Then we use what we have. Jiwoo turned to the captain. Load every shuttle with emergency supplies and medical equipment. I need every armed person on this ship ready to deploy in 20 minutes. The captain hesitated, then nodded. Yes, sir. Jiwoo looked at Taylin. Last chance to stay here. She shook her head. My people are dying down there. Something flickered in his eyes. Pride, maybe. Then stay behind me, at all times. Understand? I understand. The shuttle ride down was rough. Vorathi fighters screamed past, but they were focused on the colony, not on the small ships slipping behind them. They landed hard in a clearing. Jiwoo was first out, weapon ready, scanning the area. Clear. Move fast. Taylin followed him into hell. The forest around them was burning. They could hear explosions from the colony. Screams carried on the wind. The security team, just 15 humans and Zalveth, moved quickly through the smoke. They found the first survivors hiding in a drainage tunnel. Families, mostly, clutching children. A young human woman with burns on her arms looked up at them with desperate eyes. Are you evacuating us? Yes, Jiwoo said. Maybe 50 in this tunnel. But there are more in the community center. Hundreds. She pointed through the smoke. The Vorathi have it surrounded. They are killing anyone who runs. Jiwoo studied the path ahead. Get these people to the shuttles. I will go for the others. Sir, we do not have enough people to fight through. I am not asking. He checked his weapon. Get them to safety. That is an order. The security chief looked at Taylin. She nodded. Do as he says. Jiwoo started moving toward the colony center. Taylin followed. I said, stay with the shuttles. He said, without looking back. You said stay behind you. I am behind you. He stopped and turned. For a moment, she thought he would argue. Then he sighed. You are stubborn. I learned from the best. They moved through the burning colony. Bodies lay in the streets. Both human and Zalveth. Civilians who had been trying to build a life together. Taylin felt rage building in her chest. This was supposed to be a symbol of peace. Instead, it was a massacre. The community center was ahead. Vorathi warriors surrounded it, their grotesque forms moving in the smoke. They were large creatures, covered in thick armor plates, carrying heavy weapons. Taylin counted at least 20. Too many, she whispered. Jiwoo crouched behind a ruined wall, studying them. There is a narrow gap between those 2 buildings. A choke point. I can hold them there, while the civilians escape out the back. You cannot fight 20 warriors alone. He looked at her, and she saw something terrible in his eyes. "Yes, I can." He handed her a small device. "This is a comm link to the security team. In 5 minutes, tell them to come to the back entrance of the community center. They will have a clear path to get the people out." "What will you be doing?" "Making noise." He checked his weapon one more time. "Stay hidden. Do not follow me this time, please." Before she could answer, he was gone, moving like smoke between the buildings. Taylin watched from her hiding spot. Ji Woo appeared at the edge of the choke point and fired 3 shots. 2 Vorathi dropped. The others roared and charged toward him. He disappeared into the narrow gap between buildings. The Vorathi followed, like a flood of armor and rage. What happened next would haunt Taylin forever. The Vorathi could only come at him 2 at a time through the narrow space. And one by one, Ji Woo killed them. She could see glimpses through the smoke. His movements were nothing like the training she had watched. This was brutal efficiency. A shot to the throat, where armor was weak. A knife thrust under a helmet. A combat roll under a swinging blade. Coming up to fire point blank into an exposed joint. He did not waste a single motion. Every action had a purpose. Every bullet found a target. The Vorathi tried to overwhelm him. They fired their weapons, but he was never where they aimed. They tried to grab him, but he was too fast. They tried to flank him, but the narrow space worked against them. Bodies piled up in the choke point. Taylin watched her husband become death itself. This was not a soldier. This was something beyond. This was a weapon in human form. 17 minutes, she counted. 17 minutes he held that position alone. Her comm crackled. "Princess, what is happening?" "We hear fighting." She could barely speak. "Come to the back entrance. The path is clear." The security team arrived and began evacuating the terrified civilians from the community center. 200 people streamed out, while Ji Woo held the front, alone. Then she heard his weapon click empty. She saw him throw it aside and draw his knife. A massive Vorathi warrior charged him. Ji Woo sidestepped and drove the blade into the creature's neck, riding it down as it fell. The last 3 Vorathi stopped. They looked at the bodies of their comrades. They looked at the human covered in blood, standing in the narrow space like a guardian demon. And they turned and fled. Ji Woo stumbled. Only then did Taylin see the blood. His blood. He had been hit multiple times but had not stopped fighting. She ran to him. "Ji Woo." He looked at her with unfocused eyes. "Did they get out?" "Yes, all of them." "Good." He collapsed. The medics worked on him frantically. Taylin held his hand as they carried him to the shuttle. His eyes opened briefly. "I am sorry. You had to see that. Do not apologize." She squeezed his hand. "You saved them. I killed." His voice was faint. "I promised myself I would not kill again. You protected the innocent. There is no shame in that." He closed his eyes. The medics said he would survive, but barely. He had taken 3 shots through his armor and had multiple stab wounds. Any normal man would have died. But Ji Woo was not a normal man. As their shuttle lifted off, Taylin looked back at the choke point. Bodies of Vorathi warriors lay scattered. One man had done that. Her husband, the gentle man who read poetry with her and made her laugh. She finally understood. Inside, Ji Woo lived 2 people. The diplomat, who wanted peace, and the warrior, who would do anything to protect it. And she loved them both. Ji Woo recovered in the hospital ship faster than the doctors expected. His body was covered in bandages, but his eyes were sharp again. Taylin sat beside him every day, watching him stare at reports on a datapad. The Vorathi had declared full war. They had attacked 12 colonies in one coordinated strike. Thousands were dead. Both human and Zalveth fleets were scrambling to respond. But the attacks had been calculated to cause maximum chaos. Admiral Hyun-ki came to Ji-woo's bedside. "We need you back." "I am a diplomat now," Ji-woo said quietly. "We need the ghost." Hyun-ki leaned forward. "Both governments have agreed. We are forming a joint strike force. Humans and Zalveth fighting together for the first time. But we need someone to lead them who both sides trust. We need you." Ji-woo looked at Tae-lin. She saw the question in his eyes. "Do what you must," she said. "I will be with you. It will be dangerous. War is always dangerous. But if you can save lives, you must try." He took her hand. "You will be exactly who you are. That is all I ask." Admiral Hyun-ki smiled. "The princess is coming?" "I am an observer," Tae-lin said firmly. "And I represent the Zalveth Empire. Our people need to see we stand together." 3 days later, Ji-woo stood on the bridge of the warship Defiant Harmony. It was a hybrid vessel, built with both human and Exalveth technology. The crew was mixed, 60 humans and 60 Zalveth, all elite soldiers. Captain Insu, a proud Zalveth officer, approached him. "I do not take orders from humans." Ji-woo looked at him calmly. "You take orders from the mission. We are not human or Zalveth here. We are soldiers. If you cannot accept that, request a transfer." Insu's eyes narrowed. "I have fought for 20 years. I will not be lectured by 20 years?" Ji-woo's voice was quiet. "I had my first kill at 17. I have operated behind enemy lines 43 times. I have commanded special operations in 15 campaigns. I do not care about your pride, Captain. I care about the soldiers under my command, staying alive. Can you say the same?" "Captain Ri." Insu stared at him. Then, slowly, he nodded. "I will follow your orders." "Good. I need someone I can trust at my side. Are you that person?" Something shifted in Insu's expression. "Yes, Commander." The crew trained together intensively. Ji-woo pushed them hard, breaking down the barriers between species. Humans learned Zalveth combat techniques. Zalveth learned human tactics. They sparred together. A human sergeant named Tae-yang became one of Ji-woo's most loyal followers. He had survived New Inchan. "You saved my family, sir. I owe you everything. You owe me nothing. Just fight well. I will die for you if needed. I would rather you live for me," Ji-woo said. Dead soldiers win no battles. 3 elite Zalveth warriors, veterans of countless campaigns, approached Ji-woo one evening. They had no names among humans, known only as the Silent Three. They bowed deeply. "We wish to serve you," their leader said. "We have watched you fight. We have watched you lead. You are worthy." "I am just a soldier," Ji-woo said. "No. You are more. Let us guard your life, and we will show you what we mean." Tae-lin watched all of this from the observation deck. She saw how the soldiers looked at her husband. With respect, yes, but also with something like awe. Stories had already spread through both fleets about the choke point at New Incheon. 17 minutes. 1 man. 20 enemies. The first major battle came at a colony called Harvest Moon. Vorathi forces had landed in strength, digging in around the spaceport. If they held it, reinforcements would pour in. Ji-woo planned the assault carefully. "We hit them from 3 directions at once. Humans take the left flank, Zalveth the right. I take a strike team straight through the center." "That is suicide," Insu said. "No, that is distraction. They will focus on the center assault. Your flanks will be unopposed." Ji-woo smiled grimly. "Trust me. I need end way." The battle was brutal. Tae-lin watched from the command ship, monitoring sensor data. The flanking forces moved into position. Then, Ji-woo's strike team hit the center. The Vorathi reacted exactly as he predicted, shifting forces to the center. The flanks collapsed inward. In 30 minutes, the spaceport was retaken. But the cost was high. Ji-woo's strike team took heavy casualties. He came back with half the soldiers he had started with. It worked, Insu said in wonder. Your strategy worked. Strategy is easy. Soldiers pay the price. Ji-woo looked at the wounded being carried away. We must do better. They got better. Over the next weeks, Ji-woo led the joint force through 7 engagements. Each time, his tactics proved brilliant. Each time, his personal courage inspired the troops. He fought beside them, never asking them to do anything he would not do himself. The Vorathi began to fear him. Intercepted communications spoke of Karath Jin, Death's Hand. They said a human demon led the Allied forces, unkillable and unstoppable. Then came the mission that would become legend. Intelligence discovered a Vorathi command station holding 50 prisoners, including high-ranking officers from both sides. The station was deep in enemy territory, heavily defended. It is too risky, the High Command said. Then I will go with a small team, Ji-woo said. 12 soldiers. In and out. You will die. Maybe. But those prisoners will die for certain if we abandon them. Tae-lin pulled him aside. This is insane. I know. But I cannot leave them. He touched her face gently. You will come back. You always come back. He kissed her forehead. I love you. I should have said it sooner. I love you too. Now go save them and come home to me. The mission went wrong from the start. They were detected on approach. The station's defenses activated. By the time they reached the prisoners, half the team was wounded. Ji-woo found the prisoners and began evacuation. Insu and the Silent Three held the rear. Taeyang coordinated the escape route. Then Vorathi reinforcements arrived. Not dozens, hundreds. We cannot hold them, Insu shouted over the comm. Get the prisoners out, Ji-woo ordered. I will buy you time. Sir, that is an order, Captain. Go. Tae-lin monitored the comm channel from the fleet. She heard everything. The sounds of weapons fire, the roars of Vorathi warriors, and Ji-woo's voice, calm and steady, directing his team to safety. The team evacuated with all 50 prisoners. But Ji-woo stayed behind. For 8 minutes, one man held off hundreds. Tae-lin listened to the impossible become real. She heard Vorathi commanders screaming in confusion. How was one human still fighting? How did he keep killing their warriors? The answer was simple. Ji-woo was not fighting to win. He was fighting to give his people time. And he would fight until his last breath for that. Insu defied orders and went back with the Silent Three. They found Ji-woo, collapsed, covered in wounds, surrounded by dead Vorathi. He was still conscious, still holding his weapon. I told you to leave, he said weakly. We do not leave our commander, Insu said. They carried him to the shuttle. 2 of the Silent Three were killed covering their retreat, but they made it. When they returned to the fleet, Insu did something unprecedented. Before the entire crew, he knelt before Ji-woo and spoke the ancient Zalvith oath of battle brotherhood. Your blood is my blood. Your enemies are my enemies. I follow you unto death. Your blood. Your blood. Tae-lin ran to the docking bay as they brought Ji-woo in. He was barely conscious, but he smiled when he saw her. Told you I would come back. She held him as medics worked frantically. You are a fool. You're fool, he whispered, and passed out. He would survive. He always survived. But Tae-lin knew the truth now. Her husband was not just a soldier. He was legend, walking. He was what humans called a hero, what Zalaveth called a guardian spirit. He was Ji-woo, and he was hers. The war came to its breaking point at Unity's Hope, a colony world that represented everything the Alliance stood for. Half human, half Zalaveth, working together to build a shared future. Intelligence confirmed the Vorathi were planning a massive assault. If Unity's Hope fell, The alliance would be shattered. The War Council gathered. Human admirals and Zalveth commanders argued over strategy. Some wanted to evacuate the colony. Others wanted to bring the entire fleet to defend it. Ji Woo, still recovering from his wounds, stood before them. Neither option works. We evacuate. We show weakness. We bring everything. We leave other colonies undefended. The Vorathi win either way. Then what do you propose? Admiral Hyun Ki asked. A trap. Ji Woo brought up a tactical display. We make Unity's hope look vulnerable. Minimal orbital defenses. Small ground force. The Vorathi will commit everything to this attack. And ground forces concealed in these locations. When they commit, we close the trap. A Zalaveth admiral shook his head. Too risky. If the trap fails, the colony is lost. If we do nothing, the colony is lost anyway. The room was silent. Then Taylin spoke. I believe in Commander Ji Woo. The Zalveth Empire supports this plan. Admiral Hyun Ki nodded. The Terran Federation agrees. The trap was set. Unity's hope would be the bait, and Ji Woo would command the ground forces personally. Taylin insisted on staying with the civilians on the planet. Ji Woo argued against it, but she was firm. If I run while our people face danger, what does that say about the alliance? I stay. Then you stay in the bunkers. Promise me. I promise to stay safe. That is all I can give you. The night before the battle, they held each other in their quarters. I am afraid. Taylin admitted. So am I. Ji Woo kissed her gently. But fear keeps us sharp. Tomorrow, we finish this. And after? After. I hang up my uniform for good. We raise a family. We build the peace we fought for. He smiled. I want to be boring again. No, I want to be boring again. She laughed, tears in her eyes. You could never be boring. The Vorathi fleet arrived exactly as predicted. 300 ships. The largest force they had ever assembled. They began orbital bombardment. But the defenders held. Then the landing craft descended. Thousands of Vorathi warriors flooded onto the planet's surface. Ji Woo's ground forces fought from prepared positions. Every street was a killing ground. Every building a fortress. The Vorathi pushed forward with brutal determination, but the defenders made them pay for every meter. Taylin watched from the command bunker as tactical displays showed the battle. Ji Woo was on the front lines, moving between positions, reinforcing weak points, personally leading counterattacks. Insu commanded the left flank. Taeyang held the right. The Silent Three, now just one warrior after the prison rescue, guarded Ji Woo's position. The Vorathi warchief, Drak Nor, committed more forces. He saw the colony was weakly defended and wanted the quick victory. He brought his entire fleet into orbit. Now, Ji Woo said over the command channel, the hidden fleet elements activated. Human and Zalveth ships appeared from behind moons and asteroids. They caught the Vorathi fleet in a perfect crossfire. Space lit up with weapons fire. The trap had worked, but on the ground, the battle turned desperate. The Vorathi realized they were beaten in space, so they threw everything at the ground assault, trying to at least take the colony as a final victory. Ji Woo's defensive line began to buckle under the assault. All units, fall back to secondary positions, he ordered. Sir, if we fall back, the civilians are exposed, Insu reported. Ji Woo looked at the tactical display, at the bunkers, where Taylin waited with thousands of innocents, at the Vorathi forces pushing forward. He made his decision. All units fall back, except Command Squad. We hold the center. Sir, that is suicide, Taeyang protested. It is necessary. Go. The Allied forces fell back to prepared positions. Ji Woo, with the Silent Three and 50 volunteers who refused to leave him, held the center line. What followed would be sung about for generations. 50 soldiers against thousands. They held for 30 minutes. Ji-woo was everywhere, his tactical mind turning a desperate defense into an organized resistance. When ammunition ran low, they fought with blades. When they were wounded, they kept fighting. Taylin watched through drone feeds, her heart breaking. She saw her husband surrounded by enemies, still fighting. She saw him take wound after wound, but refuse to fall. Then Draknor himself entered the battle. The Vorathi war chief was a massive creature, scarred from 100 battles. He pointed at Ji-woo and roared a challenge. The battlefield went quiet. Warriors on both sides stopped to watch. Ji-woo was bleeding from multiple wounds. He could barely stand. But he faced Draknor. With steady eyes, they fought. It was brutal and quick. Draknor was stronger, but Ji-woo was faster. The war chief's armor was thick, but Ji-woo knew where it was weak. They traded blows, each trying to find the killing strike. Taylin could not breathe. She watched her husband fight for his life, for all their lives. Ji-woo feinted left, rolled right, and drove his blade through a gap in Draknor's armor. The war chief roared and fell. The Vorathi warriors stared. Their leader was dead. Killed by a single human. They broke. First one ran, then another, then all of them. The mighty Vorathi army fled in terror. Ji-woo collapsed. The last silent three caught him. Medics rushed forward. Taylin ran from the bunker, ignoring protocols. She found him lying in the blood-soaked street. Medics working frantically. His eyes found hers. Did we win? Yes, we won. Tears streamed down her face. You won. Good. He coughed. I am tired now. Then rest. I will be here when you wake. He smiled and closed his eyes. The war ended that day. The Vorathi sued for peace, their spirit broken. The alliance between humans and Zalveth was no longer just political. It was forged in blood and sacrifice. Unbreakable. Weeks later, Ji-woo recovered enough to attend the ceremony. Both empires honored him with their highest medals. He stood before thousands. Taylin at his side. I am just a soldier, he said in his speech. But today, I am proud. Not of the battles won, but of what we built together. Humans and Zalveth, once enemies, now brothers and sisters. This is what I fought for. This is what we all fought for. The crowd roared approval. Later, in private, Taylin held him gently. He still had bandages under his uniform. No more fighting, she said. No more fighting. He agreed. I gave enough. She took his hand and placed it on her stomach. Good. Because in 7 months, you will have another job. He stared at her, understanding slowly dawning. You are. Yes, we are having a child. He pulled her close, careful of his wounds. A child of both worlds, a symbol of the future we built. She looked at him. I wed a human for peace, but I love you for all that you are. The gentle man and the fierce warrior. The diplomat and the soldier. All of you. He kissed her softly. I was lost before I met you. 5 years passed. Ji-woo returned to diplomatic work. But now, he was not just a politician. He was a legend. When he spoke, both species listened. Not because they had to, but because he had earned their respect. Their daughter, Bolin, grew healthy and strong. She had her mother's intelligence and her father's quiet intensity. She was the first of many children born to mixed families, proof that the alliance would last. Insu commanded the Joint Military Academy. Human and Zalveth soldiers trained together now, learning from each other. The old hatreds faded, as new friendships formed. The Vorathi joined the alliance as junior partners. Even they respected what had been built. One evening, Taylin found Ji-woo training again. But this time, young Bolin was with him. He was teaching her to move, to balance, to think tactically. Are you making her a warrior? Taylin asked. I am teaching her to protect what matters. He helped Bolin with her stance. She will be a bridge between our peoples. Like me. Bridges must be strong. Will you teach her diplomacy too? Of course. A true warrior knows when to fight and when to talk. The greatest victory is the one you do not have to fight for. Taylin watched them together and felt peace in her heart. The war god had become a father. The destroyer had become a builder. And she knew that whatever future came, they would face it together. Human and Zalveth. Husband and wife. Partners in all things. The galaxy was vast and still held dangers. But it also held hope. And sometimes, hope wore the face of a gentle man with dark eyes, who could be terrible when needed, but chose kindness when possible. She wed a human for peace. She watched him fight like a god of war, and she loved him for being both, for being whole, for being exactly who he needed to be. The future stretched before them, bright and full of possibility. And they would build it together, one day at a time.